All right, guys, welcome to the Buffalo Bridal Podcast. We are at AJ's Custom Suits with Stephen and Peter. Welcome.
Thank you. Thanks for having us.
I'm joined with Heather as always. So we're gonna dive right into AJ Custom Suits.
Yeah, let's do it.
Well, thank you first and foremost for hosting us in your beautiful new showroom. When did this space open?
So we actually 4 months now. So in November we
That's
just
crazy.
Wow.
just opened it up, and Steve's been a key component in getting it off the ground and really getting exposure out here. So it's been awesome.
Awesome. So for those who don't know, can you walk us through what is Adrian Jules Custom Suits? Where did it start? What's the origin story?
Yeah. Adrian Jules was founded by my grandfather over 60 years ago. So I actually got involved when I was 14 years old. These bolts of fabric you see on the wall, my grandfather bought me a bolt of fabric, and he said, this summer I'm going to teach you how to make a suit. So
Cool.
yeah, so the clothes are made right in Rochester, and we've got about 70 tailors there, and we ask you a bunch of different questions, find out a little bit more about the individual. So yeah, my grandfather started the company, and yeah, family roots in Rochester, New York.
Very cool. How did you feel at 14 when your grandfather was like, okay, we're going to work now, kiddo?
Oh yeah, it was,
Did you go willingly?
that's a great question. I can answer that right now.
That's okay. I'm not gonna put you on the spot. I can just say my 10-year-old, when I drag him to my stuff, it's a 50-50. Sometimes
Yeah, right.
he enjoys it and sometimes not so much. So.
Yeah, no, to be honest, that was probably one of the most memorable summers that I've had in the business. So it's truly special to be with him.
That's amazing.
Awesome.
I love that. So what sets Adrian Jules apart from other custom suit makers in the area?
Yeah. So a combination of things, a couple things, but Steve, why don't you kind of tackle that one for us?
Yeah, so our process is a little different, right? We like to sit with a client, understand what they have in their wardrobe, where they're wearing the clothes, how they wear their clothes. Are they in front of doing presentations? Are they in front of clients? Do they travel? How do they travel? And really get a better understanding of about them, about their business, about how they want to project their image. We often ask them the question: do they dress for power or for compliments? Some
Good
guys
question.
do. Some
That
guys
is a good question.
do both. So I think that's really where it starts. So we really like to get to know the individual, understand not just what they want to buy, but what they have, how they're going to wear their garments, and really start from there.
That's awesome. So what does it look like if someone comes in and they're ready to start this journey of doing this custom suit for themselves?
Right.
What does that look like? What does the process look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's a lot of guys come in here and it's definitely has this different kind of feel. There's a lounge here. We've got a full bar. There's guys hanging out watching sports. So it's a different atmosphere. So guys come in. We like to sit down with them, ask them a bunch of different questions, like Steve was saying, kind of really find out what their lifestyle's like, and then really get to know them. Then we start looking at some fabrics. We get a better understanding of what's important to them from the fit, from the fabric standpoint, what they're going to wear it for, how they want to dress, and then just continue to walk through the process. And I think that the fitting portion of the process too, once the garment's made in Rochester and brought back here to Buffalo, that fitting process and the measurements is so important, and making sure that it fits a certain way is definitely equally as important as the consultation.
Yeah, absolutely. What kind of trends are you seeing? Like, what's new? I mean, I'm thinking about my boyfriend and his wardrobe, and it could use some help. So please inform us. Love you, Josh. But inform us. Like, what's popular? What's trendy? What's maybe not?
A lot of guys that come in, they often say, I've got a bunch of suits in my closet. I just don't wear them anymore because I'm not wearing a suit and tie to the office,
Sure.
or on a Zoom call or with my clients. So for us, it's an element of a luxury casual. We've started our line of jeans, Candiani denim from Milan. So a lot of guys start there. Hey, I'm going to go to the club. I'm going out to dinner. I don't want to feel dressed up like with a suit, but I want to look good in a crowd. So we'll style them a pair of custom jeans, a sport coat, a couple shirts, and then they've got a few outfits.
That's so nice. I mean, it's nice to know you have an easy transition. It's not going from 0 to 100.
Right,
There's
right.
a middle point.
Right.
that you feel comfortable, you start to learn about the process a little bit, and then I would bet that people get pretty hooked. You know, when clothes fit you properly.
We've seen a lot of aha moments when guys put on a shirt and they think, oh, now I finally have something that fits me, or the way it feels on their body. And I've had clients that have said, this is the nicest fitting garment of clothes I've ever put on.
Yeah, that's really cool.
That's awesome.
Any particular like fabrics or prints or colors, or is anything kind of standing out now, or are people kind of more standard solids, more the traditional?
Well, it's that's there's a lot that goes into it. So I think that guys, it was a lot easier when people just had to wear suits to the to out to dinner, out to the office, and now like Steve was saying, people still want to look and dress a certain way when they're going out to dinner. So some of the things, like you said, what we're seeing is that a lot of fabrics that have surface interest, like Steve's jacket he's got on, that has surface interest or semi-solids. With if they want to dress a little bit bolder, they'll do printed shirts. Underneath a semi-solid jacket. So a nice pair of jeans, fitted jeans, and still look dressed up and effortless, but still command the room, if that makes sense.
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. Awesome. I love that. I love there was a client in here just when we first started, and he was picking up his suit, and he had like the coolest colored buttonhole. I mean, just like little details that you don't think about that makes it personal to you, that it's your style, and you can really just make it whatever you want. And then I think that's really cool. And I don't think enough guys think about that.
Yeah, I think that clothing is an extension of who you are and who your brand is.
Sure.
I mean, I think that you could tell a lot by what the individual wears and what his personality is through his clothing, for sure, without having to say a single thing.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So I guess transitioning that into weddings, what are you seeing with grooms and with wedding parties? Is there anything that people are kind of gravitating towards, or maybe not so much? You're smiling, so I feel like
colors-wise,
colors or.
Well, it depends on where they're getting married. But I think that it's interesting since over the past 3 years, really, weddings has become more and more an integral part of our business, and I feel like, guys have been, they're especially for their weddings, they want they want the details, they want the subtle touches with the lining or the personal label with their garment, because it is their wedding, and they're going to have these photos and these memories for life. They're going to be hanging up in their houses. So from a color standpoint, it's interesting. I think that going into the spring, summer, a lot of, we saw in the fall and winter, we see a lot of emerald green, these deep emerald greens, these merlots, these burgundies for suits. And now I think this sage color, I think is rose color is really, really, really popular. And I think that depending on where, a lot of destination weddings too, so silk, wool, and linen blends, these soft beiges, these island beiges, I think are really, really nice. So stuff like that, I think, and especially, and Steve's got a really good hook on buffalo as well too.
Yeah, a lot of my clients come in that are either in a wedding or getting married, really lean towards a really nice suit because they want to wear it to another formal event or a gala or to work. Some of the combinations of the grooms, the grooms getting married and the guys standing up in their wedding, they'll get something to tie the suits in together, right?
Yeah.
So the groom might get a different colored vest that matches the bridal party, or they might style with the fiancé, might style the suit to include colors of the bridesmaids, whether it be on the buttonholes or the lining. Just had a client in the other day that his daughter's getting married, and he really wanted to do something special for her, so he's got 10 pictures that we did custom lining for
That
her.
is so amazing.
I love
Adult
that.
with his
Oh,
wife
that's
and everything.
amazing.
Yeah, so.
That's so sweet.
So-
I love when the personalization
Me too.
goes
Certainly
to that emotional place.
Right.
It just makes it so much more special. So for couples out there who are kind of on the fence, do I go off the rack for this one day? Do I make the investment in a custom suit? What are the kind of the pros of really stepping into this beautiful space and working with you guys on a suit for a wedding day?
I think it depends on what's important to you. I think that, listen, there's nothing wrong with getting a garment off the rack.
Sure.
There's nothing wrong with that. And if you make a list of criteria and that checks the boxes, at the very least, my suggestion would be to bring it to a tailor. You can even bring it to us. You know, bring it to a tailor to make sure that it fits a certain way, especially on your wedding. But I think that some of the other things that the things that under the surface that you don't see is that the confidence that that both the groom and the bride might have coming to a space like us, the security, the confidence, the making sure that the garment's going to fit a certain way, making sure that the fabrics that they select is the right thing. So there's all these different things that, from a clothing standpoint, especially when we're talking about the groom, that you almost want them not to think about it. They just want somebody to make sure that they take care of it, someone that they trust, that they feel good about it.
Yeah, I do think. I mean, I'm just recalling back to like weddings that I've been, in the wedding party of, and I feel like the grooms, sorry guys, are kind of forgotten. Like the dudes are kind of forgotten. It's just like, oh, hurry up and go rent a tux.
Yeah.
But I do love the idea of coming into a space, to feeling special, to feeling like it is your day too.
For sure.
To taking ownership of what you look like, to having your personality shine just as much. I mean, the amount of time that brides spend figuring out, the amount of places brides go,
Yeah.
the amount
Their
of, like,
experience
detail,
alone.
that is a whole thing. But who says that the groom can't have a similar experience?
Absolutely.
They
in
should.
just a special way.
Couldn't agree more.
The day is as special for both people getting married, not just one versus the other.
And it's nice when fiance comes in with the groom, right? With
With
her guy.
Yeah.
Right? But
They are the ones planning it normally.
They do it together, and when they're done, they're like, "Wow, this was really fun." And
Yeah, that's
thing that they
amazing.
can do together as a memory. Part of their wedding.
Oh, absolutely. And what ends up happening is that all of a sudden that the bride and the groom, they come in and they have such a great time, and all of a sudden they go back home, and then the father of the bride says, well, what do you mean you went over to that? Wait, what? That happens? And then all of a sudden the father of the bride comes, and then, then all of a sudden, it's just, it's just a memory.
Yeah, everyone gets involved.
Everyone gets involved. It's just a lot of fun, and it's special.
Yeah.
I love that. I mean, similarly, you worked with Allie from Made by Anatomy
Yep.
to have something custom for your day. I love the fact that that's available for guys too, and they don't necessarily think about that as much, but it also becomes kind of like a beautiful journey in the engagement process of spending this time together and figuring it out together. And I just love the more stuff that people can do as a team.
Right.
It just brings the whole thing full circle.
Now, again, happy to do it either way, but it's interesting because especially over the past couple months, a lot of guys, they want their partner to come in when they're picking out the fabrics initially, but when they do the fitting, they kind of are almost like, no, you can't see the garment yet. Yeah.
All right, so kind of like the girl in her dress.
Yeah, right. So I'm on board with that. I
like
think there's a sense of like, hey,
surprise.
Yeah. Right.
I like that.
I like that a lot, actually. I think leave a little something, just
right.
You really want the groom to cry when you see the bride walking down the aisle. You want the bride to have a similar reaction.
Yeah.
Like, look at this person I'm marrying.
Look at that suit.
Look at that suit. Exactly. So, what do you think are some of the common mistakes that men make when buying a suit kind of off the rack?
I think that it comes to just being educated on asking the right questions.
Sure.
So sometimes when guys will come in and they get something off the rack, they just like if they go into a store, they need to make sure that they ask the right questions so they're getting the right garment.
Sure.
So I would say that go in there with a plan and make sure that you ask the right questions, and if some of the things that the person's saying that doesn't fall into what you're looking for, I would just say find another place.
Also, there's one common thing that guys should focus on is where they're having the wedding, the time of year, the type of fabric that corresponds to a good fit and being comfortable. Right?
Yeah,
you don't want a heavyweight, loftier wool fabric if you're getting married in June or July, right?
Yeah.
So we spend some time talking to them about just the types of fabric and breathability of the fabric to make sure that they're comfortable on that special day.
I've seen a lot
That's
of
very
sweaty
important.
grooms.
Yeah.
Those summer weddings.
You're nervous. It's a nervous day, right? It's a big day.
Of course.
So big
Yeah.
day.
I think also, like, you don't know what you don't know. And I think some people get very intimidated. You know, it's like, oh, it's this process. It has to be very, very expensive. I don't even want to try. But I think that once someone kind of experiences what a well-fitting garment actually feels like and the confidence you get from it, you know, that's an investment that you make for a really long time. That's not one of these one and done things that you're just going to throw away after a few wears, you know?
And to that point, just about being, perhaps being shy from experiencing the process, I'd like to help guys just walk through and explain to them what's going to happen, how we're going to be taking measurements, how, you know, this is something that's made only for you. And you know, they warm up to the whole process once they get the hang of it. They really just love going through that process again.
And who would want to hang out here? I mean, you guys
I
got
know, it's so cozy.
TV, you got all the drinks back here. I mean, you have all the fabrics lined out. It's just cool to see all the layers that you guys kind of build up to this final piece. And that's an experience in itself.
You know, one other thing I would say is for guys out there that are, you know, I would just say, just don't wait till the last minute. I think that that's one thing that, you know, over the course of however many years is that, you know, they just don't, you know, your partner, your fiance, they just don't want you to wait till the last minute.
Sure.
So plan ahead, you know, whether you come in here, you get something off the rack, go to the tailor, make sure it fits a certain way, just, you know, plan months out in advance.
I was gonna say, how long do you think, like from the wedding date, do you think that they should start this process?
Well, we usually say if your fiance's gotten the dress, you know, 2 months after that, I would say, you know, you should be thinking about planning, you know, because, you know, what ends up happening. We've actually had someone in yesterday that they already picked out the guys in the groomsmen party, already picked out the suit that they were going to wear, but he hasn't picked out his suit, so then he was matching what, you know, so it was reversed. So I'm like, wait, what?
They're more on it than he is.
But I would say, you know, you've got to start the group's got to come in, so we've got to start with, you know, picking out that garment, and then from there you can build, you know, the guys' suits and so on and so forth.
Okay, cool. All right, awesome. So Adrian Jules obviously has been around for decades. How have you guys evolved while kind of staying true to your roots? You know, what's kind of the thread that's really been, no pun intended, that's really kind of carried through the business, and how do you guys modernize year after year?
Yeah, I think it all comes down to making sure that the experience, the quality, the way that people feel when they come in here, both from an experience standpoint and when they put on the garments, whether you were talking to my grandfather, my father, and also working with us, everybody has a similar experience. They should feel a certain way when they leave here. So whether that's trying on their wedding suit, doing a pair of jeans, sweaters, polos, whatever the product is, it's super important to us that they feel a certain way. So that is super important to us.
Yeah. And I mean, you guys have such a great education. I mean, your website has a ton of information on it. You have a podcast yourself, correct? We got to give a shout out to the podcast, right? You guys put on great events. I mean, I think that you just make it very comfortable for people to learn the process, to understand what you guys are doing here, and to kind of destigmatize any intimidation that feels like, you know, custom suits or suits are for, you know, certain people and maybe I don't belong. You know, it just takes some of that away by being so open and honest and transparent about what it means.
Right. We're just regular guys. You know, like, you know, we live right around the corner, right?
Exactly. It's true. And like everybody just kind of deserves to feel their best through their clothes. So I think that's really amazing. So what's next for you guys? Like any big projects? I mean, I know obviously the Buffalo space is new, but anything else coming up on the horizon?
You know, another big component of our DNA, and Steve's done an awesome job of this, is the community. I mean, just getting more and more involved with the community here in Williamsville is super important to us. So that has been a big thing over the past, you know, months that we've been here. That was before we were even open. We were already doing that. So, you know, so that's in Buffalo, like that's a big thing for us. So. We've got a bunch of events coming up this month, next month, that are all community engaging.
Yeah, it's kind of rolling pretty fast towards spring, right? Because it's just really kind of taking shape. Where got clients that want to bring some of their team members or their clients into our showroom in their space and have an event.
Mhm.
Maybe put the Masters on or
Yeah.
or a baseball
Something
game,
fun, right?
And just have a sip and style event, we call it.
Very
I like
cool.
that.
Yeah, so we're doing a bunch of those, and then other charity events and other things that we give back to the community is also
That's awesome.
scheduled already.
Well, us at Upstate Indie Weddings, we were so excited to have you guys participate in our
Oh,
fashion
that was a lot
show
of fun.
in
A lot of fun.
January.
That was
I
fun.
mean, I will tell
Beautiful
you,
space too.
the show was a fantastic venue to have it. I mean, you got to walk the runway.
Yeah.
You got to walk the runway, as did your
Somebody pushed me out
son.
there, right?
You were not prepared. You did a fantastic job to buy some time for our model who was struggling with the cufflink. But I think that you guys did a fantastic job, and what you sent down the runway was so fun and so cool. I loved the Bills Zuba print on your
I
son.
saw that. It was
Was the
awesome.
hit. But I think that customization, you guys do it in so many beautiful ways. I think if people just take the time to come in and talk to you guys, then I think be pleasantly surprised in what they'd find.
Yeah, we enjoy it.
Absolutely. So if someone's interested, tell us where they can find out more about you, your website, Instagram, email, etc.
Yeah, pretty much on all, we're on all of the social media platforms.
Mhm.
So you can either Google Adrian Jules Custom Clothier, AJ Custom Suits. So you can find us on all of the platforms. I mean, if you Google us, there's no shortage of our information about us.
Perfect. Awesome. Well, thank you guys so much for joining us today
Thank you. This
and
is fun.
hosting us in this really beautiful
Yeah.
space. You guys have to come check it out. It's really, really cool.
I can't say I love what you guys are doing. I think that educating the community about the weddings and so on and so forth is awesome. So it's great. It's awesome.
Thank you.
Thank
Love
you.
it.
Thank you guys so
Thank
much.
you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Sounds
All
good.
right. We'll see you guys
All right,
next time.
thank you.